Graphite plays a critical role in the massive battery systems that store and deliver energy across the city, turning energy into stored life and helping keep the city alive through the 14 straight days of lunar darkness. It helps stabilize power so that nothing suddenly shuts down. But it doesn't stop there. What makes graphite so useful is how it behaves at a fundamental level. More than a mineral, it's a technological enabler, highly conductive, incredibly stable at extreme temperatures, and chemically resilient, which means it can move energy efficiently, manage heat, and keep systems running even in harsh environments. That's why it would show up everywhere. In computing systems and data centers, AI is constantly managing oxygen, heat, and energy use. In modern communication systems, keeping a stable link to Earth, even in complex electromagnetic environments. Even in advanced materials, lightweight, heat-resistant composites designed to survive extreme conditions. Now, it might sound crazy that this one mineral could be the key to so many critical systems, but this is already happening on Earth. One company at the forefront of this graphite revolution is Nouveau Monde Graphite, or NMG. As part of a new generation of mining, they're building a fully integrated North American supply of advanced green graphite materials, extracted and refined using hydropower with a focus on performance materials, low carbon footprint, and reducing resilience on overseas supply chains. It's honestly an exciting time for graphite, and I'm glad we could partner up with a company like NMG to explore this story. Because up until now, it's been seriously undervalued. The majority of people don't realize just how many industries rely on it and how useful it is. But the tides are turning. The Government of Canada has committed to a long-term agreement covering 30,000 tons per annum of graphite from NMG over the next 7 years, alongside other offtake agreements, including Panasonic Energy and Traxys. And NMG is positioned to be the largest graphite producer in the G7. This all just proves that Western governments are really starting to see the value of graphite in helping their goals of building secure, critical mineral supply chains for energy, defense, and advanced manufacturing, all with graphite. Because the challenges we're solving up there aren't that different from what we're facing down here on Earth. Energy demand is exploding. AI and data centers are scaling fast, and the materials behind it all are becoming more critical than ever. Graphite isn't just a raw material. It's engineered, refined, and built into everything from electric vehicles, grid-scale batteries, to advanced construction materials and high-performance manufacturing. In other words, it's helping power the future. If you want to learn more about how Nouveau Monde Graphite is making that happen, well, check out the link in the description. Now, if it works this well on Earth, let's see how it holds up on the Moon. So, all NASA's had to figure out in the last century is how to safely duplicate what we have on Earth. Air, water, food, heat, shelter, and not going crazy. Going crazy might not seem like a huge risk. You're out here for an adventure after all, but cabin fever is real. In 2011, the Mars 500 project simulated what it would be like for a year-long voyage to the Red Planet, with crew members undergoing realistic conditions. No real-time communication with family, limited entertainment options, and limited living quarters. At first, the trip was pleasant, with participants all enjoying each other's company. The return trip, however, basically had all participants keeping to themselves. A social ghost ship, and that was only after 1 year of a 500-day planned mission. You're up here on the Moon permanently. Now, as you wander from solar panels to the original heater units, which are 95 years old at this point, you wonder, how the heck did they go from a crater to a self-sustaining city? Well, it all started back in the 30s. The 2030s, when NASA built its first habitats on the moon, if you could call them that. Now, you've lived in Luna Prime for 10 years now, so you've done all the touristy stuff, including the historical tour. The first living quarters looked like 4 thermoses welded together with bottle caps. Now, of course, the idea of living on the moon started way before that. People have been spinning stories about it since we were munching mammoths around the campfire. Those sci-fi tales from H.G. Wells to Heinlein became reality when Armstrong and Aldrin touched down in 1969. Yeah, they famously walked on the moon, but they also lived on the moon for 21 hours. Sure, it was in a lander with about 8 feet of living space, but the 2 astronauts did report eating and attempting a brief nap. In 1972, after Apollo 17, humans stopped going to the moon for a little while. But in the 2000s and 2010s, a discovery was made that completely switched the narrative. Water. It was discovered in the lunar soil. This made establishing a permanent base a lot more feasible, because we humans need that water. Plans were drawn up to return to the moon and establish habitats. In 2026, the now legendary Artemis II mission became the first crewed flight around the moon in 50 years, firing up humanity's imagination for a moon landing in 2028. And by the early 2030s, NASA had people living on the moon, at least part-time. To start, they lived like Buzz and Neil, sleeping in their human landing systems, which don't sound like a nice place to attempt a nap. But eventually, those blow-up thermos-style habitats became reality, creating a semi-permanent crew presence. The habitats were good at deflecting solar radiation, but the process of getting in and out of them is laborious. Suiting up and leaving the habitat takes hours because lunar regolith gets everywhere, in every gasket, every hinge, on every surface, and eventually an air leak leads to decompression. Not good. So maintenance is an essential part of moon life, unless you want to be the first grave on the moon. Within a couple of decades, once the 3D printers and water mining got going, well, humanity started building more permanent structures right out of the lunar regolith. Domes. All the domes. Technology already on Earth today allows lasers to weld the lunar regolith together to create a form of moon concrete. It uses a process similar to powder bed fusion, where it melts the regolith powder into a molten state, which then recrystallizes into structural ceramic. Moon laser habitats, yeah! By the time you arrived, Luna Prime was housing over 1 million people, with better transit than most Earth cities. Now, if you're wondering, how did they do it all at scale? How did they secure air, water, food, heat, and shelter for 1 million plus people and not get everyone killed? Well, it's a great question, and the only good answer is science. Well, technology and human